Throughout history, there has been a struggle between governmental systems which seek to gain more power from individuals and the individuals themselves who seek protection or guarantees of liberties in exchange for their own power. The expansion of governmental power has concerned many prominent thinkers, such as Algernon Sidney in his Discourses Concerning Government, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay in their collected Federalist Papers, and Bertrand de Jouvenal in his On Power. What Sidney and the authors of the Federalist Papers saw as a fight against tyranny, the tyranny of monarchical systems specifically, de Jouvenal saw as the slow, insidious guarantee that governments would maintain power over individuals, only under the guise of republican and democratic ideals, specifically in Western states in Europe and in the United States. Algernon Sidney was very much against the divine right of kings, arguing that an individual king who does not have wisdom is endowed with an unlimited power of doing whatever he pleaseth, would impose upon people a condition no different than slavery. Therefore, Sidney argues, guarantees must be made to limit the power of kings, or of governments in general, in order to ensure that slavery was not the state of man. He believed that a populace must be able to choose what government they would in order to guarantee their liberties, rather than adhere to tradition for tradition's sake. However, in de Jouvenal's view, this, too, is a slippery slope, as by making the choice of a governmental system, people are inherently more likely to give it more of their own liberties, in order to ensure that other systems, ideals, or threats will not impinge upon the rights which they hold most dear. So, this is a paradox which deeply concerns de Jouvenal. This issue is also run into by Hamilton, Madison, and Jay in the Federalist Papers. Indeed, many of those who were opposing the creation of a new constitution were those who were being written to by Madison, Hamilton, and Jay. And they were doing so because there was not a guarantee of rights, or a Bill of Rights, which would firmly delineate the powers of the government from the rights of the governed. Indeed, the three authors spent so much of the Federalist Papers explaining why a Bill of Rights would absolutely be unnecessary to the passage of the Constitution. They argued that certain rights, like the freedom of press, speech, or religion, should be seen as integral, should be seen as not needing to be written down. They didn't require explicit documentation, as these were rights which people should inherently have. However, what they don't say is what de Jouvenal says. If those rights are not guaranteed, if they are not written down, if there is no Bill of Rights, then a government can take those rights away. However, many of these papers, such as Federalist 51, also go into great detail to demonstrate that there needs to be a separation of powers between branches of government, legislative, executive, and judicial, in order to guarantee that no one branch can achieve a tyranny over any other, or a tyranny over the people who they are governing. It is therefore necessary to understand the paradoxical nature of marrying a Hobbesian state, wherein a centralized power is necessary and guaranteed, to a republic, which in classical thought was designed to be small in scope and scale, presiding over smaller populations. And this disconnect, this inherent paradox, was very apparent to the founders, as they took every precaution they could to ensure that the second body, or illimitability of the government, which was proposed in the Hobbesian state, would not destroy the rights which the founders saw as inalienable and as completely inseparable from a republican political order. Even here, though, de Jouvenal's warnings ring true, as the Federalist Papers make an argument for a strong central government which would guarantee certain powers to it, limiting them, yes, but still guaranteeing them, and also providing a pathway to more powers, thus guaranteeing a certain amount of power over individual liberties, which would, over time, become less and less, even as more groups were brought into the fold of citizenship. It is therefore important to note that the size of government is a tricky topic, as if it is too large it can take away rights, but if it is too small it still cannot guarantee them. If it is too centralized upon one individual, then the power can be arbitrary. But if certain guarantees, like a Bill of Rights, are not made, then even the most well thought out institutions can infringe upon and take away liberties as well. This is the problem of scale.